So have you been getting in shape, like round?
Oh yes, I've been. Well, shape is one of the most strongest shapes there is. You know, it's very, very strong right now. So I want to show you the before shots, and then I will whip myself back into shape into the masterful, dastardly Dan Severn.
Now,
and you probably
I've seen him work out all week long, and he's going for that shape, that really round shape, eating Frosties.
I've got the technique down. Got it. The taste comparison, vanilla or chocolate. Makes one ponder. Keeps me up at night, you know?
Okay, now, Dan, I'm going to ask you a question. Some of these questions that you're going to be asking is, if there happens to be a fight and Gracie says something wrong, or you might say something wrong, and he pulls out a gi or something, what would you do?
Wow. Tom, let's just simply say that in this magical, mystical world, would that ever happen? No. And if it does happen, I'll simply respond to it on the spot.
On the spot.
I don't know what I'll do. I just simply say, rest assured, I'm not going to just sit there and allow him to do something to me. Besides, I mean, we're in a very dignified, refined setting. I would hope that this would bring out more of the gentleman aspect of him. But rest assured, only the truth shall come from these lips.
Well, what do you think of this event so far?
Well, I'll tell you what, quite the experience. I mean, I've never been to a gentleman's boutique quite like this. You know, you got pool tables, you've got a bar, you've got, you know, you're getting haircuts, you're getting shaves. It's one-stop shopping.
This is a really, really nice place.
It is.
Very, very nice. The pool tables, the open bar, the barber, you know, shining your shoes. You got everything, getting your ties, and
also,
making your suits.
This actually is a watch from a company that is based out of Detroit on top of that. So look at that.
And I heard that, Dan, they actually are made in the USA, in Detroit, Michigan, and they're going to talk with the manufacturer. And they're going to talk to the manufacturer and see if that they can do a private label watch for American MMA, the King of the Beast, Dan Severn. Is that one of their watches that you're sporting right now?
This definitely is one of the Detroit watches. Excuse me. Yes, one of the Detroit watches. And actually, as they told me more and more about being American-made, based out of Detroit, trying to help out the economy in the state of Michigan, especially specifically in the Detroit area, where once the state was very abundant with a lot of automotive industries that have either gone north or south.
Right.
I'm just glad that people are coming back into the U.S.
and Detroit.
Yes.
Dan Severn, the King of the Beast. I'm going to ask you a question. What is your record?
I could not really tell you what my exact record is, but it's always been accounted that I have just over 100 wins. I have 101 wins. Now, I'll say that that's partially true because all of these different watchdog websites did not exist until 2, 3, 4 years after the fact, because a lot of people didn't think that no holds barred was going to be able to stick around because of all the different legislators, politicians, athletic commissioners going after it. So the count started about then, and they only ever monitored one company, and that was the UFC. So I'll say that you could easily give me another, say, 10 to 20 matches in there.
So 121, 122 matches?
I would put it in there
wins.
Safely. Yes, I have very few losses.
Because it does say right now, 101 wins, 7 draws, and 19 losses. Does that sound about right?
I don't know. Again, I'll simply go by whatever that they're saying.
And I believe it's 101 wins. How many people have 100 wins in mixed martial arts?
Point blank, there are only 4 people in the world that have over 100 cage fights. I happen to be one of the 4. There's only 3 people in the world that have over 100 victories. The ironic part, and I'm one of those people as well, the ironic part is I have faced the other 3, defeated the other 3, and the closest one to my age is 15 years my junior.
So you're telling me you started fighting when you were 35 years old, and you have the world record?
No. I started my no-holds-barred career just before turning 37 years of age. That's when I started.
So pro fighting, no holds bar. You were 37 years old, and you have more mixed martial arts wins than anybody. That's crazy.
Well, no, there's actually two other people that actually have more matches than me. You have both Travis Fulton and Shannon Rich actually have more matches than me. But I faced Travis Fulton, I think, 4 times, and Shannon Rich a couple times.
How many times did you beat Travis?
All 4 times.
All 4 times? Wow. So the only other people out there that have 100 wins in mixed martial arts, they started when they're in their 20s and late 20s, early 30s. You started at 36, 37?
Well, the only other 3 people that in the company of 100 plus all started in their 20s.
And how many belts do you have?
I believe 21, maybe 22, but let's say 21 conservatively.
Does anybody have 21 belts in the MMA?
No. I'm the only one that has 21 belts in the pugilistic arts, but excuse me, one of those belts I know is from the world of professional wrestling. Everything else is in the pugilistic arts.
So big time pro wrestling that everybody watches that.
On television.
Wow.
WWE, TNA, those are a couple of the organizations you can see.
And you've done that sport, and how tough is that sport?
Well, no, it's a very tough sport. A lot of people, when I travel about, I usually have 4 belts on display. 3 from the UFC, 1 from the world of professional wrestling, and the people, they wonder sometimes, they understand what UFC stands for, but they don't know what the NWA stands for. So I have to tell them it's professional wrestling, and they're like, well, what kind of professional wrestling? I tell them, much like I could see on television. And they always say, oh, you mean the fake stuff? I go, well, as a professional wrestler, as an amateur wrestler, as a cage fighter, professional wrestlers do not like to hear the word fake. Because to be picked up and to be bodily slammed, to be hit with chairs stuff like this, you are taking blood force, trauma along the lines. I always look upon professional wrestlers as some of the most incredible athletes, doing some of the most incredible athletic maneuvers without the aid of a safety net. And in reality, I have been hurt far worse in my professional wrestling career than I have been in all of my cage fights combined.
You just put on a show with a professional boxer and a professional MMA and a pro wrestler. And what was a pro wrestler's, a 4-card event?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that 4-card event? Start with grappling first. Who did you have?
No, let's just talk about, it's the very first of its kind ever to be allowed to utilize one arena. When I mean that arena, I mean
one ring, one
could be a
cage?
cage or a ring. It was all done inside of a professional wrestling ring. It was because of my association with the state of Arizona. Speak with the athletic commissioners because they know me, they know the integrity that I bring. So based upon my reputation, my integrity, they allowed this event to take place.
Who was the pro wrestlers?
The professional wrestlers would be Rey Mysterio and Kurt
Angle?
Kurt Angle, yes.
Yeah. Now, didn't Ray actually, people don't think that pro wrestling is dangerous. Didn't Ray have an unfortunate incident and actually struck somebody and there was a death in the ring?
Well, all the professionals, yeah. I mean, he was about an unfortunate accident. I believe it was down in, I think it was a show down in Mexico, something like this, where it was just one of his normal types of dives that he does, but somehow something went wrong. And yes.
And somebody passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we're sorry to hear that. And because of the jumps and the flips and the throws can be 10, 20 feet, two body gliding, running at 10 miles an hour or speeds that are crazy.
Yeah,
And
as I stated earlier, professional wrestlers are some of the most incredible athletes, doing some of the most incredible athletic maneuvers without the aid of the safety net. And I've been hurt far worse in my professional wrestling career than all of the cage fights combined, which is almost a contradiction in terms, because one would think it'd be just the opposite. But in a cage fight, all you have to do is go out there and get results. It doesn't have to fill a window of time. As a professional wrestler, you are a sports entertainer.
so you entertain the crowd.
But you're also filling a certain window of time up to you can be involved in an Ironman's match, which means you're going to go for a 1 hour match. How many MMA practitioners can do an hour match? They can.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
So who was Kurt Angle? Was he an Olympic wrestler?
Kurt Angle was also an Olympic wrestler / professional wrestler.
So wrestling.
Olympic gold medalist.
How many wrestlers from and where are they from that are in the MMA? Either Hall of Fame?
I'm sorry about cutting you off. I always say that the proof is in the pudding here right now. And the pudding is looking at the world evaluation of MMA practitioners. When you look at the top 10 guys per weight class, 8 or 9 of them in the top 10, where are their original roots? They are amateur wrestlers. Not just an amateur wrestler that warmed the bench, but an amateur wrestler that achieved success.
High school state champions.
High school could be or
college
a college
champions,
champion,
Olympians.
or a freestyler, or a Greco-Roman. But with that comes a work ethic and a mindset equal to none. So it's easy to take a wrestler and teach them something about striking or how to defend from strikes, and teach them something about submissions. But to pay credence, you still need the trifecta. The 3 ingredients you need is you need submissions, you need striking first off and on your feet. That's how the match starts. So you need to either know how to offensively do things or how to defend strikes. Then you need how to take people down. So any jiu-jitsu practitioner, for example, that's worked the weight works with the wrestler, because wrestlers are the king of the takedowns. And then you need finishing techniques on the ground, whether it's ground and pound or a submission, choke or something like that. So you still need the 3 ingredients, but 8 out of the top 10 guys per weight class, their origin is they are wrestlers.
And where are most of them from?
Well, ironically, most of the wrestlers are from the great state of Arizona. Even more ironically, they're from Arizona State University.
ASU.
Yes. And there's a perfect reason for that, because there is a gentleman that helped start a youth wrestling program known as Sunkissed Kids. And you're looking at the original Sunkissed Kid back from 1976. And Art Martori has been a godsend for the sport of wrestling and for Arizona State wrestling. But what he didn't realize is the hordes of wrestlers that have invaded the world of cage fighting and have prevailed.
So Art Moratori brought you out in what year to be a Sunkissed wrestler and then for ASU?
1976, a long time ago.
Bicentennial, 1976. And then how many wrestlers have you trained? Like Shannon the Cannon Rich and
Don Fry,
Don
things of
Fry.
those natures. But it's I'm actively recruiting more and more wrestlers now, because I can speak their language and I can get a finished product, a product that's going to win way before I could take any of the other categories of athletes.